Hi there. There's been a fair amount I've talked about in the last uh, few presentations just about building team spirit. So I thought I would give you a sporting context now and try and tell you or explain what people who work in teams want from their leaders. So obviously the context for me is rugby, and this is what the players want from coaches, but it could equally apply to you where it says what do your followers want from you as the leader. And then the second part of the presentation, which hopefully you'll enjoy, is what do we as leaders want from our followers, or what do coaches want from players? So I'm hoping that both sides of the coin are going to be reflected in this presentation, and it's a good chance for you to reflect on whether what players want from coaches, whether you're achieving that, and it's a good chance for you to feed back to your followers, the people that you're leading, whether they're behaving and displaying the standards that you expect from them. Because it has to work both ways. It's not just a one-way street. There has to be a mutual accountability, mutual respect, and a sense of we're all in it together. So here we go. What do players want from coaches? Comes back to the reason why, the sense of purpose. So it's down to you as the leader to articulate that to them and give them a strong sense of purpose. And with that comes a motivational environment. So it's a place where they go, where they're encouraged to, where they look forward to work, and they're motivated, and they will give that extra 10%. In a sporting context, they want intensity. So they want intensity in training, and they want quality in the training sessions. In a workplace, they want a quality environment to work in where they feel like they're developing as an individual. Which comes on to the next point, an environment to make them a better player, or an environment to make them a better person to work in your team. This has been a constant theme throughout the module in this leadership club, is the clear, constant communication. And as we get busy with emails and phone calls and getting back to people, opening up those channels of communication so that we have constant communication with the people that we lead is absolutely crucial. The vision for the future, it's the leader's responsibility to paint this, and the people who work for you, or the players who are coached by you, want clear understanding, short and long term. Positive relationships, stability and continuity is the key one for players as well. So they don't want change all the time, so be wary of constant change, and allow your team to develop without constant change, ideally. I think we've talked about this, at various times. Player-led leadership, let's call it, involvement in the decision-making, rather than being dictated to and told what to do. Humour, social connectors. So within your coaching team or your senior management team, it can't be work all the time. And I certainly learnt this, certainly in my role now, where I'm not directly responsible for everything. I think the players are seeing a different side of me, and I think it's important that you can show that you've got a sense of humour. Very, very important. Honesty and trust. I think let's go back to the credibility of leadership, and here it is again, being honest and being trustworthy. Something that's unique to their team. So in a sporting context, in a rugby context, a game plan that is unique to their team. And that the coaches or the leaders models the behaviour required. There's nothing worse or nothing more undermining than a leader who says, right, we need to be on time, and then they're constantly late for meetings, for example. And I guess it goes back to, again, the credibility of leadership. You do what you say you are going to do. They want to be planned and organised, so they want to have a clear guidelines as to what's happening next week, next month, next year, to be listened to. And the big one we've talked about already is achievements to be recognised and celebrated. And it's often that personal touch that can really cement your bond between you and the people that work for you. A positive environment, so a pint glass half full, a can-do attitude, where you see what people can do rather than what they can't. A fair chance, so everyone deserves a chance, and everyone should be allowed to make a mistake. So I think people who work in your team will be looking for that. They want loyalty, and probably more importantly, a coach who sells, not yells. So you sell your idea, you sell your vision. You don't shout to them and dictate your vision. Adult relationship as opposed to parent-child relationship. I cannot emphasize this enough. This is absolutely critical in teams, and even if the people that you're working for you are maybe 10, 15, 20 years younger than you, it still has to be adult. The reason why: a vision that engages the heart as well as the mind. And when things go wrong, you handle the critical incidents well. I think often I would describe them as you get certain gold moments as a leader, a leadership moment, something that wasn't planned for, a critical incident that you couldn't predict. How you handle those situations is fundamental to your leadership success. I think I said that just earlier on. See what players do, not just what they don't. Be accurate and honest with your feedback. I think accuracy is really important. So make sure you spend time preparing for meetings and one-to-one feedback sessions as opposed to doing it last minute. I remember I did an appraisal once, and it was probably the most unrewarding, unfulfilling appraisal I've ever had in my life, because I could see the person appraising me had put no time or effort into preparing for it, and as a consequence, I got very, very little out of it. And what do coaches want from players? So this is the flip side now of the coin. What do we want from the people we lead? Open minds to the ideas that we bring. No egos, so there is no I in team, and no ABC of importance. Players can accept responsibility. So when we're assessing or reviewing a program, there's a no blame approach, and they can accept the feedback in a constructive way. So we want, as leaders, people who've got character as well as talent. I think I would always probably try and go for A-grade character and B+ talent rather than the other way around. A-grade talent and B or C grade character. Then I think you'll find it hard to build your team. Players who cross the white line and grow. So in a sporting context, that means obviously that you want to see the players that work in your team who take on the challenge. So people who work in your organisation who are prepared to take on the challenge that you've thrown at them, and they become stronger and more influential and more confident rather than shrink away under the pressure of the next big decision. No excuses. Manage energy and pace the season. I think it's something really important. We as leaders need to demonstrate this, and I think I spoke about this right at the start in connection and extension and managing your reserves of emotional energy. So managing energy and pace the season is important in the people that work for us as well as for ourselves as leaders. Set the standards off the field so they have good lifestyle habits, and that when they come to work they're going to be on their top form because they've looked after themselves well. In a sporting context, we want a senior playing group of respected core leaders who we trust and tough players. And again, within your people that you lead, that senior management team and the senior people in your organisation are respected. They want to get better, they want to learn and improve, and they're team players. So what's in it for me, we don't need. What's in it for us, me to we players, that's what we want. Humour from their side to our side as well, and competitive toughness. So they want to take on the challenge. As I said before, business is competition, sport is competition, life is competition. Therefore, we need to breed that competitive toughness. Fit, strong, able, highly skilled, certainly in the profession that you're leading in. They're coachable and willing to learn, committed and self-disciplined. So we want them to not be disciplined by us as leaders, but by themselves. And that's where your real strength in your team comes from. Can deal with problems positively rather than have a negative mindset to a mistake. And whilst obviously we recognise that they need to be financially rewarded for the work they put in, the main motivation is intrinsic rather than extrinsic. I think in teams we want socially aware players. We want socially aware people who can sense the mood in the camp and alter behaviour accordingly. If you've got players like that or people like that in your organisation, then you really will have a very good team to lead, and you should hold on to them as high quality employees. Pint glass half full. There's nothing worse than having someone in your team who's a energy sapper. You know, you've energy givers and energy sappers, and we want energy givers, that's for sure. Honest and trustworthy, there it is again. That's what we want from the people that are in our teams. And loyalty. It's a tough job being a leader, and you know, when the tough times come, and you might not get everything right in your decision making, but if you get more right than wrong, for them to have your back, there's nothing more desirable or something that you'd most likely want as a leader, is to have the people who work for you to have your back and are loyal to you because of the time and effort you've put in. And I think that's absolutely crucial. So I hope there's enough there for you to ponder on. It's reinforced a lot of things we've talked about, and I will hopefully give you more insight into building teams in the next presentation.